The desert planet of Iridion was a place where few humans dared to go. Its endless dunes of red sand stretched for hundreds of kilometers, and fierce dust storms could appear without warning. Captain Elias and his small team had been sent to Iridion to scout potential mining sites. Life here was harsh, but humans were known for adapting to extreme environments. Elias often reminded himself that if humans could survive here, they could survive anywhere. Elias walked carefully along a narrow canyon ridge. The sun blazed overhead, casting long shadows across the jagged rocks. His comm device crackled with static, warning him of an approaching storm. He ignored it, scanning the canyon below with his binoculars. That was when he saw her. At first, she looked like a shadow among the rocks, but as he focused, he realized she was an alien woman. Her skin shimmered in shades of green and blue, almost like the reflections on water. Her eyes were large and intelligent, but filled with fear. She was trapped under a large slab of rock, pinned and unable to move. Elias's heart raced. He had heard the stories of this alien species, the Lirathi. Known across several systems, they were highly intelligent, technologically advanced, and notoriously cautious around humans. Most humans avoided contact with them, fearing retaliation. But Elias didn't hesitate. "Hold on," he shouted, signaling to his team below. Two of his team members, Jaro and Miri, joined him, carrying reinforced lifting tools. Together, they began prying the rock from the alien woman. She didn't resist, but her wide eyes never left Elias. There was a sense of caution in her gaze, as if she were weighing whether he could be trusted. Finally, with a loud crack, the rock shifted. She pulled herself free, staggering to her feet. Elias offered her a hand, and after a moment of hesitation, she took it. Her grip was surprisingly strong. She didn't speak, but a series of soft, musical sounds escaped her throat. Elias had no idea what they meant. "Can she understand us?" Mary whispered. "I don't know," Elias replied, "but right now we've saved her. That's all that matters." The alien woman looked around the canyon, her gaze sharp and alert. She didn't flee. Instead, she examined Elias and his team with curiosity. Her eyes lingered on their equipment, their uniforms, and the devices they carried. Elias felt a strange sensation, a mix of pride and unease. She was studying them, just as much as they were studying her. "Do we follow her?" Jaro asked, glancing nervously at the canyon's edge. Elias shook his head. "No, we've done enough for today. She's free now. Let her go." The team stepped back, giving her space. The alien woman studied them for a long moment, then slowly turned and walked into the desert. The sand seemed to shift around her, almost as if the ground itself recognized her presence. She disappeared over a dune, leaving the humans staring in silence. The wind picked up, carrying a faint hum of energy that seemed to linger after she was gone. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. "That was strange," he muttered. "I've never seen anything like that." Miri nodded. "Do you think she'll come back?" Elias didn't answer. He didn't know. All he knew was that humans had made a choice that few others would have dared. They had shown mercy to a being that many considered dangerous, and somehow he felt that choice mattered, even if he didn't yet understand why. Back at the colony, the team recounted the encounter. Some colonists were angry, arguing that Elias had been reckless. "We don't know what she is capable of," one shouted. "She could return with her people and destroy us." Elias listened calmly. "Or she could remember our actions," he said quietly. "We chose to help her. That counts for something." The colonists didn't respond, but he could see a flicker of doubt in their eyes. Elias had always believed in the potential of humans, their courage, their ability to make the right choice even when it's hard. He hoped that potential would shine now, even on this remote, dusty world. Days passed. The desert storms came and went, and the humans returned to their work. Mining operations resumed, and Elias tried to focus on the colony's survival. Yet he couldn't stop thinking about the alien woman. He wondered where she had gone, what she was thinking, and why she had not attacked or fled when she had the chance. One evening, as Elias stood on the ridge overlooking the colony, the sky turned a deep violet. The twin moons rose, casting eerie shadows across the sand. That's when he noticed something unusual. A faint light flickered in the distance, far beyond the usual patrol zones. At first he thought it was a reflection from the sand or a piece of equipment, but it pulsed with an intelligent rhythm. Elias's pulse quickened. Could it be her? He signaled Jaro, who joined him with binoculars. The light shifted, moving in a pattern that was too deliberate to be natural. Elias felt a mix of excitement and caution. "Stay alert," he said. "We don't know what we're dealing with." They observed the light for several minutes. Then, as if sensing their attention, it vanished. Elias rubbed his eyes. Was it a trick of the desert, or had the alien woman returned? That night, sleep came fitfully. Elias dreamed of the alien woman, her eyes reflecting the stars above Iridian. In the dream, she reached out to him, not threateningly, but as if inviting trust. He awoke with a start, the dawn light creeping across the canyon. By mid-morning, reports came in from the colony's sensors. Unusual energy readings were detected near the canyon where Elias had first found her. The patterns were complex, almost like a signal, but not one that human technology could fully decode. Elias felt a thrill of recognition. She had returned, but why? Was it curiosity, a warning, or something else entirely? He couldn't be sure. He gathered his team and prepared to investigate, taking only what they needed for safety. As they approached the canyon, the wind whispered across the dunes, carrying with it a strange harmony of tones, soft, musical, and familiar. Elias's stomach tightened. The desert itself seemed alive, responding to her presence. Then, without warning, she appeared. Standing at the edge of a dune, unarmed, her posture calm but alert. In her hands was a small glowing object. Its light was soft but vibrant, pulsing with energy. Elias froze. The alien woman looked at him directly, her gaze steady and unflinching. She made the same musical sounds as before, but this time there was a rhythm, a pattern that suggested intention. She extended her hand slightly, offering the glowing object. Elias stepped forward cautiously. He signaled for his team to hold their positions. The object could be a trap, a weapon, or a gift. His instincts told him to trust her, but the caution drilled into every human on this desert world held him back. Finally, he took a deep breath and reached out. The moment his fingers brushed the glowing surface, warmth spread through his hand. The object hummed gently, as if alive, and a sense of calm washed over him. He realized then that this was no weapon. It was something else, something meant to help, or perhaps to communicate. The alien woman stepped back, her eyes never leaving his. Elias felt a strange connection, a silent understanding passing between them. She had returned, not with anger or fear, but with purpose. The desert stretched endlessly around them, silent and waiting. Elias held the glowing object, knowing that this moment marked the beginning of something extraordinary. Humans had survived this harsh world before, but now, they had encountered something that challenged everything they knew, and for the first time, Elias felt certain that humans were not just survivors. They were capable. The desert had returned to its usual quiet after the alien woman's visit. The sun blazed overhead, casting long shadows across the red dunes, and the colony resumed its daily routines. Yet for Captain Elias, nothing felt normal. The glowing object she had left in his hands pulsed softly, as if alive, and every time he looked at it, he felt a strange mixture of curiosity and unease. Inside the colony command center, Elias placed the object on a reinforced table. Sensors scanned it, but readings were unusual. The technology didn't match any known human or interstellar systems. Its energy signature fluctuated in patterns that suggested intelligence, almost as if it was thinking. "Captain, the scans don't make sense," said Miri, leaning over the device. "It's not like anything we've seen before." "The energy is organic, maybe?" Elias frowned. "Organic technology? That's a contradiction, but it seems to respond to life. To us." He glanced at Jaro, who had his arms crossed, skeptical. "We should destroy it," Jaro said bluntly. "We don't know what it could do. It might be a trap." Elias shook his head. "We saved her once. Do we really think she'd come back to harm us? Look at this, it's not a weapon." "Not yet." Jaro frowned but said nothing. Elias knew convincing the team would take time. Humans were cautious by nature, especially when dealing with unknown aliens. Yet Elias couldn't ignore the feeling deep inside that this encounter was different. Over the next few days, the colony noticed strange phenomena. Sensors picked up faint signals from the desert, like bursts of energy moving in deliberate patterns. At first, the colonists thought it was interference, but soon they realized the readings were consistent. Someone or something was watching. Elias spent hours studying the object. He discovered it could interface with the colony's environmental systems. Small adjustments to energy flow, temperature control, and even minor atmospheric stabilization became more efficient when guided by the device. The desert storm still raged outside, but inside the colony, conditions improved. Supplies lasted longer, machinery worked more smoothly, and the colonists felt safer. Yet Elias couldn't shake the feeling that the alien woman was behind it. She had returned not with anger or hostility, but with this gift, and there was intelligence in her actions, a purpose that humans had yet to understand. One afternoon, Elias ventured toward the canyon where he had first encountered her. The desert sun beat down, making the sand shimmer like molten gold. He scanned the horizon, searching for any sign of movement. Suddenly, a figure appeared on a distant dune. The alien woman stood there, her form partially hidden by the heat waves rising from the sand. She didn't move toward him. Instead, she watched, as if observing his reaction. Elias raised a hand in greeting. For a moment, she tilted her head, then vanished behind the dunes. His heart raced. She was still curious about humans, still studying them, but why? Back at the colony, Elias shared his sighting with his team. "She's watching us," he said quietly. "She wants to understand humans, not destroy us." "I can feel it," Mary looked worried. "Or she could be testing us. Humans are unpredictable. Maybe she wants to see what we'll do next." Elias nodded. "Perhaps. But we've already made a choice to show mercy. I think she remembers that. She returned with this gift because of it." Days passed, and the alien woman did not appear in person again. Instead, the colony began to notice more subtle signs of her presence. Tools would be slightly rearranged for efficiency. Energy fields adjusted themselves to conserve power. Even small plants in the colony's greenhouse seemed healthier, as if someone or something was tending them with care. Colonists whispered about miracles, and fear slowly gave way to curiosity. Could this alien woman truly be benevolent? Elias hoped so. He spent his nights studying the glowing device, learning to communicate with it in basic ways. Patterns of light and vibration began to form, almost like a language. He realized that if humans could understand it, they might be able to communicate with her directly. Then, one evening, the desert sky changed. A sudden wind swept through the colony, carrying fine particles of red sand. The energy reading spiked and the device pulsed rapidly. Elias knew immediately that the alien woman was near. He grabbed his protective gear and ran toward the canyon. As he approached, he saw her standing calmly on a dune, her posture relaxed but alert. In her hands, she carried a new object, smaller than the first, glowing with a soft blue light. She did not speak, but Elias felt an understanding pass between them. She wanted him to see it, to recognize its importance. The alien woman had returned not for confrontation but for communication. "Captain Elias," he whispered, though she could not hear him in human language. "I understand you mean no harm. But what is this?" She extended the object toward him, and for a moment it hovered in the air between them. Light danced across its surface, forming patterns that seemed almost alive. Elias reached out, and as his fingers touched it, he felt knowledge, ideas, information, and possibilities flow into his mind. The device showed the colony's weaknesses, ways to improve life, and methods to protect against the harsh desert. Elias realized then that this was a tool of partnership, not domination. The alien woman was offering humans a chance, not just survival but growth. Returning to the colony, Elias called a meeting. The colonists gathered around, anxious and skeptical. He held up the device. "This is not a weapon," he said firmly. "It is a gift. She has returned because she sees something in us, courage, ingenuity, the ability to survive. She wants to help, and we must decide whether we are willing to accept it." Jaro shook his head. "Or it could be a trap. We don't know what she wants in return." Elias looked him in the eye. "She has already given. We saved her life. That mattered. This is her response. Humans do the right thing even when it is risky. That is what makes us, some colonists murmured agreement. Others remained unsure, but the tension eased slightly. Elias placed the device in the colony's main system, letting it interface with their environmental controls. Almost immediately, efficiency increased. Power usage dropped, food storage improved, and machinery ran smoother. The colonists were astonished, but Elias noticed something else. The desert around the colony seemed calmer, as if the planet itself responded to the alien woman's presence. Dust storms became less frequent, and the wind patterns shifted subtly. It was not magic. It was science beyond human understanding, applied with intelligence and care. Over the next week, Elias worked closely with the device. Small changes made big differences. The alien woman's gift was not just technology. It was insight, guidance, and understanding. Humans had survived this harsh planet before, but now they had a partner, even if that partner remained a mystery. Late one night, as Elias studied the device alone, he felt a presence nearby. Turning, he saw a faint silhouette in the moonlight. The alien woman watched from the canyon's edge, her glowing eyes reflecting the twin moons. She did not approach. She only observed. Elias smiled faintly. "I see you," he whispered. "I understand your gift, and I promise humans will not waste it." The alien woman tilted her head slightly, then vanished into the darkness. The desert returned to its usual quiet, but Elias knew this was only the beginning. She had returned for a reason, and humans had to be ready for what came next. In the colony, life continued, but something had changed. The humans no longer saw the desert as just a hostile place. They saw opportunity, potential, and the presence of an intelligence that valued them. Elias felt a sense of pride. Humans had shown courage and mercy, and now, the universe was taking notice. The glowing device pulsed softly. The desert winds had settled, leaving the colony in an unusual calm. Captain Elias stood in the command center. The glowing device the alien woman had left still pulsing softly on the table. It was as if the object had a life of its own, breathing knowledge into the colony's systems. Elias watched as Miri and Jarrow carefully monitored the readings. "Look at this," Miri said, pointing to the screen. "The energy efficiency has improved more than I expected. The environmental systems are stabilizing automatically." Jarrow raised an eyebrow. "And you trust her?" "A being we barely know?" Elias shook his head. "It's not about trust alone. It's about choice. We saved her and she returned with this. That tells me something about humans. Our actions have consequences even across species." She sees that. She's responding. The colonists gathered in the main hall, curious and cautious. Some were excited, others suspicious. Elias knew he had to show them the value of this gift without creating panic. He lifted the device and spoke clearly. "This object is a tool. It can help us stabilize the colony, improve our resources, and make life safer here on Iridian. It's not a weapon. It's a gift." A few colonists exchanged worried glances. One engineer, Kale, stepped forward. "How do we know it won't harm us?" "It's advanced." "We don't understand it fully." Elias nodded. "We will study it carefully, step by step. But we cannot ignore the opportunity. Humans have survived harsh worlds before, and now we have a chance to make this one better." The first day of testing was tense. Elias, Miri, and Kale worked with the device, integrating it into the colony's environmental controls. Lights flickered as the systems adjusted, and for a moment alarms blared. The colonists held their breath. Then slowly stability returned. Temperatures balanced, power usage dropped, and machinery hummed efficiently. "This is incredible," Miri whispered. "It's like it knows what we need before we do." Elias smiled, but he remained cautious. "It's not magic. It's intelligence. The alien woman designed it to understand us, our needs, and our environment. She's teaching us in her own way." The days that followed brought more surprises. The device adjusted water distribution to the greenhouse, increasing plant growth. Machines repaired themselves automatically, identifying minor faults before they became problems. Even the colony's energy shield seemed stronger, able to withstand stronger wind gusts without damage. Colonists began to take notice. Fear slowly turned into admiration. They whispered about the alien woman's wisdom, about the gift she had brought, and about the humans who had chosen mercy. But not everyone was convinced. Jarrow remained skeptical. "We still don't know why she gave this to us. What if it's a test? What if she's studying us for something else?" Elias considered this. "Perhaps. But we can only respond the way humans always have, with courage, intelligence, and responsibility. That is what makes us worthy." One evening, Elias walked alone to the ridge overlooking the colony. The twin moons of Iridian rose, casting silver light across the dunes. The desert was quiet, almost peaceful. He felt the presence of the alien woman before he saw her. She emerged silently from the shadows, her skin reflecting the moonlight like liquid metal. "You've returned," Elias said softly, not expecting an answer. The alien woman tilted her head, her large eyes meeting his. She extended her hands, revealing another small object glowing softly. Elias understood instinctively that it was another gift. This one different from the first. It hummed with a rhythm that matched the pulsing of the previous device. He approached cautiously, feeling the intelligence behind it. As he touched it, a surge of understanding filled his mind. This device could enhance communication between humans and the colony systems, allow better monitoring of environmental conditions, and even predict storms before they formed. The alien woman's purpose became clearer. She was not here to dominate humans or to harm them. She was here to teach, to show what could happen when intelligence and curiosity met courage and morality. Returning to the colony with the new device, Elias explained its function to the team. Some engineers were skeptical, but as they activated it, the results were undeniable. Energy efficiency improved further, resources were managed automatically, and even minor hazards were detected and prevented before they could cause damage. The colonists were astonished. They began to see humans not just as survivors of a harsh desert, but as beings capable of growth and understanding, worthy of the aliens' trust. That night, a sudden storm approached the colony. The device pulsed urgently, warning Elias and the engineers of unstable sand patterns and wind currents. The colony had faced storms before, but this one was unlike any other, stronger, faster, and unpredictable. Elias coordinated the response. Shields up. Secure the greenhouse. Everyone inside. The alien woman appeared at the edge of the storm, her silhouette glowing faintly. She moved with precision, adjusting the devices from a distance. Energy fields shifted under her guidance, and the colony's defenses held against the storm's fury. Colonists watched in awe. Humans had the skill to survive, but with the aliens' gift they could thrive. They began to understand the value of partnership, of trust, and of acting with integrity even in the face of fear. After the storm passed, Elias walked to the edge of the dunes, hoping to speak to her. She watched silently, her gaze steady. Elias realized that communication did not always require words. Trust, understanding, and respect could be conveyed without language. "Thank you," he whispered, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. "For everything you've done." The alien woman gave a small nod, then vanished into the desert. The devices remained, pulsing gently as if alive. Elias knew they were more than tools. They were a bridge between humans and something greater. The next morning, the colony began using the devices fully. Daily tasks became easier, resources were managed efficiently, and the colonists' morale soared. Humans were learning, adapting, and thriving, all with the guidance of the aliens' gifts. Elias watched them work, pride swelling in his chest. Humans had shown courage when faced with uncertainty. They had chosen mercy over fear. And now the universe was responding. The alien woman's gifts were proof that humans were capable of more than survival. They were capable of partnership, of understanding, and of greatness. But Elias also understood that this was just the beginning. The alien woman had returned, yes, but she had not yet revealed her full purpose. There were lessons to be learned, tests to be faced, and challenges ahead. Humans had the tools, the courage, and the curiosity. Now they had to prove themselves worthy. As he stood on the ridge, watching the desert stretch endlessly beneath the rising sun, Elias felt a surge of determination. Humans had been given a rare gift, not just technology, but knowledge, guidance, and trust. And humans, he knew, never wasted a chance to grow. Somewhere beyond the dunes, the alien woman observed. She saw the humans making choices, learning, and adapting. She saw courage, intelligence, and morality. And somewhere deep inside Elias, a quiet certainty took root. Humans were not just survivors, they were builders, thinkers, and pioneers in a universe full of unknown possibilities. The glowing devices hummed softly in the colony, a heartbeat of partnership and understanding. Elias knew that if humans continued to act with wisdom and courage, the bond with the alien woman could lead to something. The calm desert of Iridian had deceived the colonists. Though the last storm had passed, Elias knew that the planet was unpredictable. The glowing devices from the alien woman had made life easier, but they were not magic. They required careful attention and constant adjustment. And Elias suspected the alien had more lessons to teach. The morning began like any other, with colonists tending to machinery and environmental systems. Elias moved through the hallways, checking on the teams, but the faint hum of the devices alerted him to something unusual. Energy readings spiked suddenly in the southern sector of the colony. "Captain, the southern field is unstable," Miri said, her voice tight with concern. "I've never seen a fluctuation like this before." Elias's jaw tightened. "It's Iridian. It's never predictable. Let's go check it immediately." They arrived at the southern sector just as a windstorm began forming faster than anyone could expect. The sky turned a deep crimson and sand whipped into furious gusts, bending the colony's shields. The alien devices pulsed urgently, casting soft glows across the chaos. "Everyone inside," Elias shouted. Colonists scrambled to safety as the storm's intensity grew. This was unlike anything the planet had shown before. The dunes shifted violently, threatening to collapse parts of the colony. From the ridge above, a familiar silhouette appeared, the alien woman. Her presence was calm and deliberate. She moved to the edge of the storm, raising her hands. Light from the devices intensified, forming energy patterns in the air. Elias could feel the subtle shift in the environment, as if the desert itself were responding to her. "Captain, she's controlling it," Miri shouted in disbelief. Elias didn't answer. He directed the colonists to reinforce shields and secure the greenhouse. Machines hummed, responding to both the alien devices and human adjustments. Humans and the alien were working together, though communication was minimal. They understood each other through observation, intuition, and trust. Suddenly, a collapse occurred in the storage sector. Debris fell from the ceiling, blocking a corridor. Elias didn't hesitate. He ran toward the fallen structures, dodging the whipping sand and debris. The alien woman appeared beside him, moving with precision. Together, they lifted the heaviest beams, clearing a path for trapped colonists. Once the corridor was safe, Elias turned to her. "You didn't have to help me," he shouted over the storm. Her large eyes regarded him calmly. She didn't speak, but her gesture, a slight bow, conveyed respect and acknowledgement. Elias understood immediately. She recognized human courage and initiative. The storm raged for hours, testing every system and every human in the colony. Yet through cooperation, they survived. Machines, guided by the alien devices, worked efficiently. Energy shields adjusted dynamically. Human ingenuity combined with the aliens' technology to stabilize the colony. When the storm finally passed, silence settled over Iridian. Dust settled and the sun rose, revealing the colony mostly intact. Some structures were damaged, but the core systems had held. Colonists emerged cautiously, astonished at the miracle of survival. Elias surveyed the scene. The alien woman stood at the ridge, observing quietly. She did not intervene now, her part was done. Yet her presence radiated understanding, as if she were assessing the human's response. Miri approached Elias. "Captain, she's not just helping us survive. She's teaching us how to act under pressure. We're learning from her." Elias nodded. "Exactly. Humans have always adapted, but now we're learning to adapt faster. With guidance, she respects courage and intelligence. And she's giving us a chance to prove ourselves." As the colonists repaired damage and restored systems, Elias continued to study the devices. He discovered new functionalities, tools for early storm detection, automated repair protocols, and even methods to communicate complex ideas through light and vibration patterns. Each discovery deepened the bond between humans and the alien technology. Over the next few days, humans began experimenting with new strategies for survival and efficiency. They monitored the desert environment with precision, anticipating storms before they formed. The alien devices seemed to respond to their creativity, subtly enhancing human solutions. Elias realized that this was not just technology. It was mentorship, and humans were the pupils. Late one evening, Elias stood on the ridge, gazing at the alien woman in the distance. The twin moons reflected in her shimmering skin, making her appear almost ethereal. She had not spoken, yet her actions communicated volumes. Elias felt a surge of admiration and respect. Humans had faced countless challenges, but the aliens' presence reminded them that they were capable of more than they realized. "Captain Elias," a voice called. It was Kale, one of the engineers. "We've been monitoring the devices, and I think I understand something new. The alien woman isn't just giving us tools. She's showing us how to combine intelligence and courage to solve problems. We can survive this desert because we're thinking, not just reacting." Elias smiled. "Exactly. That is what makes humans, humans. Our strength is not just in our bodies or our machines, it's in our minds, our choices, and our courage. That is why she respects us." The days passed, and the bond between humans and the alien devices strengthened. Colonists worked together more efficiently. They anticipated challenges and solved problems creatively. Even Jarrow, who had been skeptical, began to see the value of the alien woman's guidance. One afternoon, a minor sand collapse threatened the perimeter wall. Elias and a team rushed to reinforce it, but the alien devices adjusted automatically, stabilizing the sand and protecting the workers. The colonists realized that humans were no longer alone. They had allies in ways they could not fully understand. Elias felt a sense of pride and responsibility. Humans had always survived against impossible odds, but now they had the opportunity to thrive. The alien woman had returned not just to save them, but to show what humans could achieve when courage and intelligence were combined. That evening, Elias walked to the ridge once more. The desert stretched endlessly before him, quiet but alive. The alien woman appeared briefly, her form shimmering in the moonlight. She did not speak. She only observed, her gaze steady and filled with meaning. Elias understood. This was not the end, it was a beginning. Humans had survived the storm, adapted and proven themselves capable. Now they were ready for more. The alien woman had seen their potential, and she was testing them in subtle ways, preparing them for challenges beyond the colony. "Thank you," Elias whispered into the night, though he knew she could not hear him in human words, "for trusting us, for showing us what we can become." The alien woman tilted her head slightly, then vanished into the desert, leaving only the glowing devices behind. Elias returned to the colony, knowing that the lessons she imparted were far from complete. Humans had gained tools, knowledge, and guidance, but the greatest gift was understanding their own potential. In the days that followed, the colony thrived. Energy efficiency improved further. Resources were managed intelligently, and the colonists' confidence grew. Humans had learned that cooperation, courage, and adaptability were as important as technology. The alien woman's presence, though distant, was a constant reminder of this truth. Elias often reflected on the events of the storm. Humans had faced fear and danger, yet they had acted with intelligence and bravery. The alien woman had watched and judged, not as a conqueror, but as a mentor and observer. She respected the choices humans made, and in turn, humans began to respect her. One morning, as Elias prepared to oversee a new project integrating the alien devices fully into the colony, he noticed faint tracks in the sand beyond the outer wall. The alien woman had been close, observing one. The desert of Iridian was quiet, the air still and the sand warm beneath the twin suns. The colony had recovered from the recent storms, thanks to the alien devices and the humans' own ingenuity. Captain Elias walked through the central hall, watching the colonists work with a sense of pride. Machines hummed smoothly, systems operated efficiently, and the greenhouse plants thrived in the carefully managed environment. Elias paused by one of the glowing devices. It pulsed softly as if aware of his presence. He remembered the day the alien woman had returned, offering her first gift. At the time, he had not understood her full intentions. Now he realized that her gifts were not just tools. They were lessons guiding humans to see their own potential. Miri approached, carrying a clipboard. "Captain, the systems are running perfectly. Energy use is down, food production is up, and the shields held perfectly during the last sandstorm simulation." "The colony has never been stronger." Elias nodded. "Yes, and it's not just the devices. It's the people." Humans adapted, worked together, and learned from the tools she left. That is what makes us capable of more than mere survival. Jarrow, who had been skeptical from the start, joined them. "I never thought I'd see the day when we could trust an alien's technology without fear. But it works. And it works with us, not against us." Elias smiled faintly. "Exactly. We earned her trust and she responded. Humans can show courage and morality, even when faced with uncertainty. That is why she came back, and why she stayed near us." That evening, Elias decided to visit the ridge where he had first encountered the alien woman. The desert glowed under the twin moons, casting long shadows across the dunes. He walked slowly, unsure of what to expect, yet filled with anticipation. When he reached the ridge, she was there, waiting. Her skin shimmered in shades of green and blue, reflecting the moonlight. She stood calmly, watching the colony in the distance. There was no hostility in her stance, only a quiet presence that commanded respect. Elias stepped forward. "You've shown us much," he said softly. "More than I could have imagined. Your gifts, your guidance. It has changed us." The alien woman tilted her head slightly, observing him. Her eyes reflected intelligence and understanding. Elias felt a connection, a silent recognition that humans and she shared a mutual respect. In her hands she held a small glowing crystal, different from the previous devices. Its light was warm and steady, pulsating in a rhythm that felt almost like a heartbeat. Elias understood instinctively that it was a final gift, a promise of protection and guidance. She extended the crystal toward him. Elias reached out and took it carefully. The moment his fingers touched it, a surge of warmth spread through him. He could feel the potential of the crystal. It could shield the colony from future storms, detect dangers before they appeared, and even enhance human decision-making in critical situations. Elias looked up at her. "This is more than I expected. Thank you." The alien woman's gaze softened and she made a series of musical sounds. Though Elias could not understand the words, the tone conveyed meaning, trust, respect, and promise. She had chosen humans as worthy partners, and through her gifts she had shown them the path forward. The colonists gathered nearby, watching the exchange with awe. Some whispered. Others simply stared, unable to comprehend the intelligence and care behind her actions. But Elias knew the truth. Humans had been given a chance to rise above fear, to show courage, and to prove their worth. And they had succeeded. Miri stepped forward. "Captain, will she stay?" Elias shook his head. "I don't think so. She has shown us what we need to know. Her work here is done, at least for now. But she has left us with the tools, knowledge, and trust to continue. And I believe she will return if we continue to prove ourselves worthy." Jarrow nodded slowly. "Humans have a way of surprising the universe. Maybe she saw that in us." Elias turned back to the alien woman. The crystal in his hand pulsed gently, a reminder of her presence. She gave a small nod, then stepped back. With grace and silence, she disappeared into the desert, leaving only a trail of shimmering light that faded with the wind. The colony was quiet for a moment, absorbing the significance of what had happened. Humans had survived storms before, but this time, they had done more than survive. They had proven their intelligence, adaptability, and moral strength. They had earned the trust of a species far more advanced than themselves. Elias held the crystal carefully. Its light was steady, comforting, and full of potential. "This is more than technology," he said to Miri and Jarrow. "It's a symbol, a promise, and it reminds us what humans can achieve when we act with courage and wisdom." Over the following days, the colonists integrated the final gift fully into their systems. The crystal's energy enhanced every aspect of the colony. Shields were stronger, resources were managed intelligently, and the greenhouse flourished. Humans had learned to work with the aliens' guidance, combining their own ingenuity with the lessons she had provided. Elias often reflected on the events of the past weeks. Humans had shown mercy, courage, and intelligence. They had faced fear, uncertainty, and the harsh desert environment, and they had risen to the challenge. The alien woman had returned bearing gifts that were more than tools. They were lessons, encouragement, and a bridge between species. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Iridian, Elias walked to the ridge once more. The desert was calm, but he knew it was alive in its own way. Somewhere beyond the dunes, the alien woman watched. She had returned to ensure humans were ready for what lay ahead, and she had seen their potential. Elias spoke softly to the desert, as if she could hear him. "We will continue to learn. We will continue to grow. Humans will not waste the trust you have given us." He turned back to the colony, seeing the lights of the buildings glowing softly under the moons. Machines hummed efficiently, colonists moved with purpose, and the desert seemed less hostile than before. Humans had survived, yes, but now they thrived. The next morning, Elias gathered the colonists in the main hall. He held up the crystal. "This is a reminder," he said. "A reminder that humans have courage, intelligence, and the ability to rise above fear. We have faced challenges, adapted, and proven ourselves. And now we have the trust of a species far beyond our own. That is something worth remembering every day." The colonists listened in silence, pride and determination in their eyes. Humans had faced the desert and its dangers, but more importantly, they had faced the unknown, acted with integrity, and earned respect in a way no one had expected. Elias continued, We have the tools, the knowledge, and the guidance to survive and thrive here. But we also have each other. Humans are strongest when we act together, with courage, intelligence, and respect. That is why we were chosen. That is why we were trusted. As he spoke, the crystal pulsed softly in his hand, a heartbeat of knowledge and hope. Elias smiled, knowing that humans had proven themselves not only to the alien woman but to the universe itself. The desert wind stirred gently, carrying whispers across the dunes. Elias felt a sense of peace and anticipation. The alien woman had departed, but her promise remained. Humans had the chance to grow, to learn, and to become more than survivors. They could become builders, thinkers, and pioneers, worthy of trust and capable of greatness. Elias knew that the alien woman might return one day, and when she did, humans would be ready. They had shown courage, intelligence, and moral strength. They had faced the unknown, adapted, and learned. They had risen to the challenge, and the universe, vast and full of mystery, had begun to notice. The glowing crystal pulsed gently in Elias's hand, a final reminder of the gift, the lessons, and the trust that had been given. Humans had survived Iridian storms, thrived under her guidance, and proven that they were capable of more than anyone had imagined. The desert stretched endlessly before them, still and quiet yet alive with potential, and somewhere beyond the dunes the alien woman watched, knowing that humans had earned her respect and trust. Elias felt a deep sense of hope. Humans were not just survivors, they were thinkers, innovators, and partners in a universe full of possibilities. And with that understanding, Captain Elias knew that humanity's story on Iridian was only just beginning.